My name is Carol, and I moved to Colorado 15 years ago, and I happen to be moving away in 4 days. So actually, it's quite fitting that for me to be talking about Colorado right now. I'm going to talk about the population characteristics with respect to migration and politics. Something that struck me when I first moved here was that people who were born here didn't ever seem to move away. Maybe I got this impression only because my frame of reference then was Arizona and California. So while researching this speech's main points, I decided to find out if my initial impressions of Colorado natives were accurate. And while I was at it, I thought I'd compare some of Colorado's population traits with Oregon's, since that's where I'm moving. All the presidential ads we're seeing are a clue to my first point, that Colorado is a swing state. This is partly because its three major cities, Colorado Springs, Boulder, and Denver, represent quite precisely the right, left, and center. The People's Republic of Boulder, as it's not so affectionately known outside its borders, is mostly liberal. Colorado Springs is conservative, and Denver is right in the middle. In today's skewed political arena, some say Denver's left of center, but by historically accurate measures, this is not the case. In fact, according to the Secretary of State's website, 51% of Denverites consider themselves liberal, while the percentages in Boulder and Colorado Springs are 65 and 20%, respectively. To put this in perspective, the national average, according to the latest Gallup poll, is about 21% liberal, 40% conservative, and 36% centrist, with the average for Colorado statewide being about the same as this, with regard to presidential elections. They say how Missouri votes, so goes the nation, but I think political science might want to shift this sort of focus to Colorado. Indeed, as Denver Post staff writer William Porter recently commented, any attempt to paint a portrait of average Coloradans is trumped by the sheer array of colors making up the palette. Too many variables like geography and job type, as well as the diversity of education and ethnic backgrounds, leave us with the demographic version of the platypus. And Colorado's migratory population statistics don't help in this regard. New Census Bureau data reveals that about 66% of Coloradans were born in Colorado. I was surprised that the number wasn't higher, given the assumption I mentioned earlier, but comparing this percentage with Arizona's, where I'm from, as well as the national average, you can see where I'm coming from. At 38%, Arizona is number 49 on the list of states with residents living in their state of birth, while the national average of states with native populations is 59%. I couldn't find historical statistics, but probably even fewer native-born Arizona residents were there 30 years ago when I was a child there, and likewise, less Colorado natives were moving away, probably 15 years ago when I moved here. Overall, I've enjoyed living in Colorado. It's a very livable state, politically and climatically anyway. It gets more snow than a lot of other places, but I like snow and I'll miss it. I'll never forget driving up to the Continental Divide one July. It was like 95 degrees in Denver when we left, and we got up there and it was snowing like crazy and it was freezing. Another time I got a sunburn watching a bike race. It was in June, and then by the end of the afternoon we got 6 inches of snow. I guess what you hear is true. If you don't like the weather in Colorado, stick around 5 minutes because it'll probably change. Another aspect of Colorado, I'm not yet sure on this, is being in the proximity of people of many different varieties of political opinions. I don't think this is the case in Portland, which is notoriously monolithic in its liberalism, despite the fact that statewide percentages of self-reported centrists, liberals, and conservatives in Oregon are comparable to Colorado. About half of Oregon's population was born elsewhere, according to the State of Oregon website. The amount of outdoor activity and education is similar to that of Colorado's. But although it's comparable to Colorado in many ways, I'm in for some changes when I move, and I'm not just talking about precipitation, or precipitation type, but I am bringing extra rain boots. Thanks.